All right, from episode 6 of season 2, Pas de Deux, I think is how you say this, which is French for a dance between two people. Or so I heard. Anyway, yeah, the food crisis has hit.
Yes.
This has finally happened. So now tensions are going to be super high. You know, we're watching Yellow Jackets. Season 2 just ended. So, but of course, you know, with the cannibalistic nature of that show, it shows how fast friends and family and whatnot can turn on each other when food gets short, when supplies start to run out. So I'm glad that we're going down this road. I know that Jim talks about how this could be, you know, by design, right? He's very of the mind currently that this is all some big experiment and that they're purposely being tested and aggravated and that this is just part of that.
Right. Yeah. I kind of agree with him. I definitely think that there's some control over what happens in the area and the fact that they do have a lot more people now for sure, but the fact that they've also been running out of food for a while and Donna just hasn't said anything makes me think that it was planned.
I mean, it was inevitable.
Yeah.
Right? But was it supposed to run out now, or was it just supposed to run out eventually? And the game makers we're doing, if that's what's actually happening here, right? If there is somebody watching over, purposely pushing buttons, whatnot. The experiment thing, I guess, is as good as any when it comes to a theory. But once again, I usually tend to lean away from a show pointing out theories and a character being able to be like, I don't know. It's always, to me, the writer saying, yeah, we know this is what you're thinking. Yeah. And so we're going to have characters address it in the show. So it's not that thing.
It could be some version of that thing, though.
It could be.
So
I just usually tend to lean in that direction where it's like, if a character is addressing it too early, right? It's usually that revelation where they think it's this thing. And so then it validates the audience to be like, yeah, we know you're thinking that, and it might be that thing. And then, you know, you get a couple more seasons in, or you get closer to the end, and then it's that big, like, twist revelation of, like, it's not that thing. But it could be also a clever way of being like, you know, the audience is going to think we think it's not a thing because we said it's a thing.
But it's the thing.
But it's the thing. I don't know. But regardless, the food shortage has happened. And I'm glad that this is finally going to become a thing because, yes, this is going to ramp tensions. I mean, look what happened. Ellis got himself stabbed.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Over, you know, people are starting to freak out a little bit. And it's, you know, this person is like, you know, Elgin was stealing and these new people gotta go. And then, you know, Ellis tries to step in and gets himself stabbed. And that scene was wild. This was definitely easily, I shouldn't say arguably, easily the best episode we've had of this show in a while. So I'm glad that happened because I know a lot of people were starting to get down on this show and were like, oh, nothing's happening. And then this episode came along, and I feel like this has revitalized a lot of people's interest in the show. If you just look at, like, the ratings of the last few episodes, you went from, you know, we'll just do the whole show for season 2. You have a 7.9, then a 7.9, so they kind of started pretty good. Then it dropped to a 6.9. Then a 6.3, then a 5.3.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right, so it's really starting to be this downward trend. And then to this was like an 8.0 now, which is higher than the first two together. So, I mean, this episode obviously has had the most interest and likability to it, which makes sense because it is the best episode of this season.
Yeah.
even though are any questions really answered?
No.
No.
Not really.
But
there's like a good setup for potential answers.
Sure, something major happens.
Yes.
For sure. And much like when Boyd gets cut and, my blood's your blood, that was like the last big thing to happen that made people go, okay, like this is really pushing the plot forward.
Yeah.
And then for the last like 3 episodes, it's kind of been like character development and stuff like that, but not a lot of plot progression. And I think that's what has upset people, but I haven't been turned off by the last 3 episodes.
No,
I'm just like
either.
patiently waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
And being like, okay, like now I know more about this person.
Yes.
I know so I'm fine with it, but
Me too.
anyway. So continuing on with this episode. So and that scene where, Elias, right? That's his name. I always mix these things up. Or Ellis, sorry, is what I said.
Ellis, yeah.
That's what I've been saying the whole time. Why did I change it?
I don't know.
Ellis. Ellis gets stabbed, and then Elgin kind of has this big hero moment, right? And he's like, I'm going to go grab the van. I thought he was going to, like, run out and distract them.
I did too. We both
like,
thought he was going to be a distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, he just drives the van around.
Which is a smarter thing to do. Loads them in, and then we get this really cool Last of Us style shot inside the car.
Last of Us.
Which, I can't say that they stole that from The Last of Us, unless Jack Bender is a big Last of Us video game fan.
Right.
Because that is how that's shot. Not that this has never been done in film before, and this is only owned by The Last of Us, but because The Last of Us came out this year, and this is exactly how they shoot the scene in the car with Sarah and Joel and Tommy. Like, this is very similar to that kind of spinning shot in the center of the car.
It's really cool. It's very, especially with this show. I mean, I think it's tense in The Last of Us as well, but with this one, there's a lot more tension, and like every time they would go back to like the road, we were both like, someone's gonna be there, he's gonna hit somebody, like he's gonna hit a tree, like just because you're cutting away from it, and it was cool. It was really, really cool.
It definitely made it feel, because we've seen this done before, right? Like anytime you're in a car and you're showing that perspective, we've become conditioned to think when you show that angle where you kind of keep going back and forth and spinning around or back, this way and that way, that one window is eventually going to see like a car or a monster or a tree or something is going to come into the frame really fast. Yeah. And it's going to screw that. So like, for a minute there, I definitely thought a monster was going to be in the road and he was going to have to swerve around it, and he was going to hit a tree, or he was going to be looking back, and then when they panned the camera this way and he turned his head with the camera, it was the tree was going to be in the way and he was going to hit it. So it really did ramp up that tension of like, I don't know what's going to happen to Ellis. Like, he could die, and if they hit a tree, and they're out there exposed, do I think Elgin was going to die? No, because we still have more to explore with his visions and whatnot. Yeah. So I would be shocked. Now, would it be cool? Sure, because it would be so unexpected. Yeah. But then everyone would be probably pissed off, like, well, now we don't. Yeah. What was the setup? What was the point of him? But Fatima and Ellis, I don't know what they really have to explore with them per se, except for they could ramp up the emotional, tension and drama on Boyd. Like, his kid dies. He lost his wife. Oh, now his kid dies. And he was stabbed by someone in Colony House. Yeah. Like, I was like, ooh, I was thinking about it when it was happening. Like, oh man, if he dies right now, that would be great. Now, of course, that's not the way they went. They get there, they save him. But we did set up something there for sure, because Boyd decides he's going to pass his blood on. Now, this is the big thing of the episode, so maybe we should put a bookmark in that and take it back a step, because I don't want to talk about the end quite yet. So the blood and all that stuff is gonna have to. We're gonna have to save that for a second because that is the big thing to talk about. If we take it back to the beginning of the episode, you know, Boyd is in there. Kenny comes in and is like, "How dare you?"
Yeah.
Right, get out of here. And so he talks to the mom. Kenny kicks him out. He goes to the door, and this is where he has his vision. We don't know it's a vision. We think he leaves the place. But he does not.
No.
He actually just stands in the doorway and has this vision of this ballerina dancer that's in the building that's, you know, when he walks inside, it's completely empty.
Right.
And all that's inside is this music box.
Yeah.
Now, the first time we saw this music box, to my memory, is in episode 2, when the dude who's chained to the wall is like, you know, you have till that thing stops.
Yeah.
To get out of here, otherwise, you know, you're gonna be in trouble. They're gonna get here.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's like a timer.
Right. So he sees it, and boom, here we go. We see a life-size version of this ballerina dancing around. Now that I would assume is like what the title is referencing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So we get her. She's, you know, doing her beautiful ballerina dance, whatever. It seems all peaceful and non-ominous, even though we the audience knows that it's probably ominous. And then she gets Boyd, and she's dancing with him, and then boom, the worms that are in his body start coming out of her mouth. Now, what can this be? Is this a ominous premonition of like what's to come for him? What's the significance of the ballerina and the worms coming out of her mouth? Because we don't just see her once; we see her a lot in this episode.
We do. I don't know who she is. Obviously, the worms coming out of her mouth. I mean, it could be like, you know, on the surface, he's gonna think that the blood is a gift, right? After they kind of figure out what it does towards the end, but that really, it's not, like, it's still gonna be dangerous to them. You know, kind of like the beauty on the outside, but ugly on the inside type of thing.
Do you think Boyd time traveled in that tree, and when he was in that dungeon? Because like dungeon, whatever you want to call it. He's in the well, and then he climbs out of the well. The guy infects him, and then when he walks forward, I don't know if he teleports or if he time travels, because when he turns around, the structure he was in is no longer.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a relic of the past. Like he was in a place that was, you know, a building 100 years ago, and now time has rendered it obsolete, and it's completely like ruins at this point. Like, how long ago did he travel to, if that's the case? Is that something from like hundreds of years ago, and then when he walks forward, he walks to present, and it's the building has now is shown what it is now hundreds of years later?
And it does seem like it was time travel because of the building's like dilapidation at the end.
Yeah.
So I'll say yes. Because
it showed it, and it was like, was he just teleported to a different area that was also like ruins, or was that the same place just in a different time?
Seemed like the same place in a different time.
Yeah, that's something we didn't really address then. So I was thinking about it now with the ballerina time little music box. So yeah, I mean, he brought this disease, worm infection, from a different time.
I mean, that would be the case. If he time travels, then yes.
So, why did it specifically bring it to him right now? And then he doesn't want to pass on his blood to his kid. And he goes and has this big moment, like, okay, my son's bleeding to death. I'm the only one who for sure that can give him my blood. but of course I got to get rid of this. Now, he goes out, the smile demon, smiley guy.
One.
He gets his throat cut, and Boyd puts his blood into him. At first, he has no, reaction to it. But then he, and Kenny has his moment, right? Kenny has a few moments here because, like, he doesn't want to have anything to do with Boyd. Mm-hmm. And then Boyd shows that he's not feeling well. Mm-hmm. And so Kenny does the thing, does the heroic thing or, like, the good guy thing. And he makes sure Boyd's okay before he, gets rid of him. And then Kenny's like, okay, I think you're okay, and he tries to walk away. And then Boyd's like, ugh.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, man.
I thought he was faking for a second there.
Too.
I was like, he's just trying to get him to stay with him.
Boyd wouldn't do that.
No, but Kenny also, like, later on tries to offer, like, to have his blood, be the infected blood so that Boyd can save his son.
Exactly. So Kenny is, very much, like, showing his good nature. Yeah, for sure.
Even though he's extremely angry, but he's a good person.
And also in this episode, before we start talking about the other thing, you've got Mary is discovered to be a drug addict by Christy.
Yes, which we
had called, not only called that, but called that, she was kind of mad at her because she turned back to drugs. Yeah. Right.
Right.
So, we get that revelation here, which of course then kind of frees up Christy.
Yes,
for the love triangle.
Still in effect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So there's that whole thing going on now, and we see that Christy and Kenny are kind of giving each other a little bit of a look of like, but they don't got time for that because obviously big things are happening here.
Lots of big things, yeah.
So you've got Boyd goes out, infects the Smiley, and this kills him. The first death.
The reactions to, like, so the creatures, they let him get really close. They let him cut his throat and then put his hand on it, like, touch him and everything. And they don't really have any reaction aside from just, like, this is fun, like, we're gonna still kill you. And then when he walks forward a couple steps and then starts to, like, starts to actually have a physical reaction. I just thought it was really interesting because I thought that they were gonna know, like we both said, like when he cuts his blood, or your dad was saying, I think, like, they're not going to want anything to do with him. They're going to run away. And, even when he cuts his hand and exposes his blood, like, they still have no reaction. So they don't know, like, what that is.
No. Definitely not. And it kills him. So what does this mean? I mean, obviously his body's still laying out there.
Yep.
It's going to be there in the morning, I'm assuming, or it's going to burn up.
It seems like it'll be one of those things. Like, it'll either burn in the sun because we never see them in the sunlight, or it'll just remain out there. I really liked the transformation, too, of his face, like it turning into the creature that it really was. I thought that looked really cool and really scary.
Yeah.
I think it's still going to be there. I don't think it's going to burn up. I think it's just going to be there because I also think that they're going to pretty much just be up all night, like, watching it to see if, like, it moves or does anything. And then I think they're immediately going to go grab it so that they can try and learn from it.
And what if it's alive and, like, a person?
That'd be crazy. Like a person that got killed?
Just like it broke the curse on it.
Oh, that would be crazy.
It's like alive and a person now. Now they have to like grapple with like, do we trust this thing?
Right. Like they're all this underneath their monster exterior.
And is Boyd free of his blood being tainted, or now does he have a tool, a weapon? And did he now give it to his son? And now, they both have the ability to kill these things. Right? Because like, if he passes it on and it's just a one-time thing,
right, then it's gone. I
But
don't
if
think
he
it's-
has it and
Yeah.
he's able to now, give it to him, but now they don't know what it does to them. So not everyone's going to be like, well, just give it to me now, and everyone's going to have a tool against these things. It's going to be like, is this a good thing to have?
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be out of their systems because, like, my blood is your blood. To me, that's like we're sharing. Like, I'm sharing this thing with you, not like it's getting out of my system. I mean, obviously, only time will tell, but that's just my assumption is that Boyd will have it, his son will have it, and then they'll have to kind of figure out if the effects on themselves is worth like passing it to others or weaponizing it. But I liked your dad's idea about like them filling syringes with their blood
sure.
and like going around and like stabbing them.
Sure. I mean, if they have a
weaponize it.
weapon,
Yeah.
then absolutely. So we shall see.
Yeah.
But I think they'll probably bring it in and dissect it. That's my guess for sure.
Maybe it's an alien.
Maybe. So, but yeah, I think it'll still be there in the morning. It could burn up, but I think it'll still be there, and they'll get to pull it on in and check it on out. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know what's going to happen to that guy who stabbed him. Is he going to go in the box?
Oh my gosh, I know.
That remains to be seen.
I mean, he should be punished, of course.
So, I don't know. But anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, we'll see. And you guys let us know your theories below. And we'll talk to you there.
All right.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.